again, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the South Stand View. Just before we get into it, please make sure that you are liking, commenting, and subscribing if you're watching on YouTube, and if you're listening on Apple or Spotify, please make sure that you're following on those platforms as well. We've had a really good reaction to our preview for the Burnley game, so I really do appreciate all of the support on that. Isaac's not with us this evening. He's a little bit unwell, so we'll send our best wishes to him. Hopefully he's all good for the next podcast. But Mike, how are we, mate? All good?
I'm good, mate. How are you?
I've just woke up, to be honest.
I was about to say the exact same thing, Charlie. And I was nodding off. I was like an old man on the sofa with a blanket over me watching game, and I felt the eyelids going now and again. But, 0-0. We'll take it, won't we?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, we are here, guys, to just react to Burnley 0, Leeds 0 at Turf Moor. I think, I'll be honest, I said 2-1 in the preview, mate, but deep down, I kind of expected the game to go exactly how it did. We knew that going into it, Burnley had only conceded 9 goals all season. They set themselves up to defend, really, and counter-attack the majority of the time, I would have thought. And that was clear as day. I actually thought both defences were outstanding in the game, I must admit. It wasn't I think the Sky Sports team said it, and it was right, in fairness to them. It just wasn't a game for the attackers, was it, mate?
No, definitely not. And I think, if we go to as last pod or the last conversation we had about the game, I think one thing I said is it'll be a game of fine margins. I did say I thought we were going to nick it 1-0. Ramazani 75th minute, and if you notice, Ramazani were going at back post in 75th minute, and I think it was Connor Roberts who kind of body checked him so he couldn't get past. But I think also we mentioned how little chances both teams have conceded over the past few games as well, and that were really evident today as well. Really well, although I think the Sky commentators were a little bit over the top with their defending. I think it was just kind of bog standard defending. They go, "Oh, that were brilliant. That were I thought, get out of their asses, will you? Yeah, it's good defending. I know they've not conceded, a goal in how many games, but they've only conceded 9 all season. But yeah, I thought that was a bit over the top. But point, take it. We did say as well, didn't we, that we didn't think we'd lose this game, and we didn't.
No.
So it could have been a lot worse, and we'll take that in the next game, 100%.
Yeah, happily. I think if someone had said to me pre-game that it'd be the game that just happened, I think I'd have snapped your hand off. And I've already seen, obviously, briefly from the game finishing until now, there's a lot of people on Twitter with various theories. Did Leeds set up for a draw? Did Burnley set up for a draw? How do you see that, mate? I mean, me personally, I think it's more Burnley that set up for the point. I can understand why people are saying that we might have done as well, given team selection, which we'll come into in a second. But how do you see that argument, mate?
Burnley definitely set up for a draw. I think they wanted to play a similar style as to what they did at Ellen Road, where they just get 2 banks of 4 behind the ball and trying it as on the break, trying it as on set pieces. But yeah, just to go to our team selection, I think, hindsight's a great thing, innit? A lot of fans are probably saying on Twitter now, aren't they, that, he should have been, he's been cautious with Gruev and cautious with Byram. But I did say on the last pod that I think we should enforce our game on them a little bit and I'd play Rothwell and Tanaka in the middle and Firpo on the left, but he didn't. But, it's not end of the world, is it? Burnley are a really good team, especially at home, especially in defence. But I could understand it a little bit in terms of thinking Farke got the tactics wrong. But you can't moan, can you? It's a draw at Burnley, who haven't lost a game since beginning of November. So you'll take it all day long.
I think they were saying that the last goal they conceded was on the 21st of December. So it is some going. But just on the team selection, obviously my favourite player came in to start in at the midfield, Ilya Gruev. Now, that one wasn't actually a huge surprise. I kind of expected him to go with Gruev. I'm not saying I would have done that myself.
No, I wouldn't
but
have.
I did expect him to. The one that got me was Byram at left back, which as soon as I saw that Byram and Gruev were in the team, that thought did creep into my head of, God, is he really setting up for a point here?
He's playing it safe, wasn't
And I thought he was kind of flirting with danger a little bit by doing that, albeit you can argue that it has worked out. Obviously, we've come away unscathed.
Yeah.
But I would have liked to have seen Junior Firpo at left back, as I felt that left hand side again was just so off balance. Loads of opportunities where if Firpo's there, there's a ball played down that left hand side, but Byram's always cutting back on his right. I mean, do you think we missed Firpo in that game, mate? Do you think it was a gaping hole that needed filling by him? Do you think?
Yeah. I agree with what you're saying in terms of like when we were down that left hand side, Byram did, there were quite a few times, especially in the second half, where if it were Firpo, he'd have just bombed down that left hand side, got a cross in, or maybe just sprayed it across with his left foot. But I kind of understand why Farke's done it. Probably one, because he's not played many games lately. He's coming back from injury, and two, he does give you that defensive cover because Jadon Anthony did look quite dangerous in that first half, I think. And I think Byram contained him pretty well. And, Firpo may have contained him well as well, but I think Byram gives you that little bit more confidence in them one-on-one duels. But I think to go to Gurev, I was concerned with that one because he's not played a lot of games, has he? And I think to throw him into a big game like this, I think it was a bit of a risk, which, whether it's worked, if you're a glass empty or half full, you look at it that way. But I'd have played Rothwell and I'd have enforced our game on them. That's how I'd have done it. But it is what it is. Top at league out with Charlie Boy.
Exactly, yeah, exactly. But I did feel though, especially first half, that if there was any team that was pushing it a bit, I think it was us. I think we slightly edged that first half. I feel like we were showing more initiative to go forward. You could tell that we were clearly setting up for the point, especially in that opening 45. But I did feel, as you've said, I don't even think it was just Anthony. I think they were trying to get down the other side with Lyle Foster as well, quite a lot. They definitely did target the wings, but like I said, there's not really a lot to discuss. There wasn't a lot of chances. There wasn't a lot of scintillating play or anything like that. It was just a game of defense.
I've got one talking point for you, Charlie. For that, that was a penalty for me, for us, 100%. Would it Dan James who got body? Would it Dan James who got body checked? Byram, it was. Sorry, that's the penalty for me. It totally takes him out. I know it's shoulder to shoulder, but he absolutely bodied him in my opinion. There wasn't much from the players in terms of protesting the decision, but when you slowed it down, it looks like he just clearly took him out to me. And the referee as well. I thought the referee had an absolute stinker as well. Again, we always seem to get these referees that just get the basic decisions wrong. I mean, you look at the Ampadu tackle near the halfway line as well.
That were fine. Yeah,
he clearly won that ball. Clearly won it, and then what happens there? He gives them a free kick, not too far from edge at box, that puts pressure on us. And it was another poor referee for me today.
Yeah, I mean, in terms of the penalty shout, I did think it was at first, but then after seeing it back, I was like, well, if that was the other way around and it got given, I think I'd be pretty pissed off, to be honest. So that's kind of why I just was like, right, okay. But yeah, I agree about other instances like that. Ampadu tackle was more than fine.
Brilliant.
Even the commentators said that, that he'd won the ball. I think there was a few that Bogle had done where
took out on byline. Bogle got took out on byline, and you've got a linesman that's in a few feet of it's not giving it as well. So, yeah, I thought we were really poor front ref tonight.
The only booking that I did completely agree with and that I loved was the one that Dan James got.
Yeah.
I thought
they were breaking. They were breaking
Oh,
on the
yeah.
halfway line, weren't they? They were
100%. Yeah.
Yeah.
If he don't make that challenge, then they're in on. Well, they're on an attack out there. So yeah.
I love that about Dan James as well. He's just kind of got a little I don't give a fuck attitude, has it? You know, when he gets up, I love his I call him Mighty Mouse, mate. He's a proper he's a little terror. And but yeah, if they'd have broke on that halfway line, we'd have been in serious trouble. So he took the yellow card for the team, didn't he? So
yeah,
it's one of them.
You've touched on Jadon Anthony for them being like probably the most promising threat, if anything, for them. And I was going to say, did anyone else for Burnley stand out to you? Was there anyone where maybe you were feeling a bit wary when they were on the attack?
No, I think it was just Jadon Anthony. But before the game, and on yesterday's podcast, I think we spoke about how dangerous they were from the middle of the park. So that were my concern before the game. But you know, they didn't look a threat whatsoever, hardly throughout the game. When I say Jadon Anthony looked dangerous, he looked tidy on the ball. You know, he were taking defenders on, but you know, there wasn't really much coming from that as well. He won't getting many crosses in. He won't getting, they won't getting many shots on goal. So yeah, I think you can see why their fans get a little bit frustrated. I think because obviously they've got a brilliant defence, but they don't create much and they don't score much.
They were booing and groaning at one point. I think in the first half, and there was an opportunity for them to play the ball forward, and they passed it back, and there was a little bit of there's a little bit of tension from the home fans, which I found a bit bizarre given the type of game it was. You know, from their point of view, they're playing against the team that are top of the league, so it makes more sense for them to be a little bit more safe. But then again, I felt Leeds were safe in aspects of that game as well. But there is a Leeds player that really frustrated the shit out of me tonight, and I think you know who I'm going to say.
The General, yeah.
Well, there's him as well, but it isn't him that I'm thinking of now. Brendan Aronson for me was. If that game doesn't scream out that we need a number 10, I don't know what will. I get it. I get the positives that he brings. I get his oppressor. I get his, he's like a Duracell sort of bunny into just, irritating the defenders. But on the transition tonight, and his passing and his
it were off. It were way off.
It was so off,
especially his passing. There were a couple of balls down the byline. I think there were one to Bogle, one to Dan James, where he just totally overhit it, and you think,
every time nearly,
and he won't get much pressure on the ball as well in those instances. There were no one up his arse trying to tackle him. It was just a simple, just won't put in the right weight on the ball. But I've been quite complimentary about Aronson this season, and he does all the things that you say in terms of pressing, defending from the front, chipping in with goals. But he sometimes his decision making in those areas just it leaves you a little bit frustrated, doesn't it? And I think that game, like you say, that tells us that we need a number 10. Now, I'm not saying boot him straight out of the team. I just think he's played so much. He's
played nearly every single minute,
every single.
I think I said it on a previous pod. Like, I'm really surprised that he's not been injured yet.
Yeah, me
really
too.
Surprised.
We just need another option there. Obviously, like tonight, it wasn't working for him, so we need someone who we can take him off and just put someone in that position and just try something a little bit different during them games. I'm not saying he's dog shit. I'm not saying he's crap, but sometimes we just need different options from the bench. And at the moment, his only option is putting a wide player there or pushing.
I think I'd have done that tonight though, maybe just to see if it had changed anything. It might not have done. Yeah, it might not have done. But with Perot, I kind of give him I wouldn't say a free pass, but I can give him a bit of leeway tonight, just for the simple fact that there was just nothing being created in the box. There was nothing for him to kind of try and get on the end of. I get his link-up play and his passing wasn't great at times, but in a game where you're literally chasing shadows from his point of view, it was difficult for him, I felt, tonight.
He looked a little bit laboured to me. I think in his
Yeah.
movement, in his running, it was like he had lead boots on tonight. It were just when he were chasing defenders, when he were kind of closing players down, when he were trying to get the ball, he just looked really laboured for me tonight.
But then again, when Joseph came on, I didn't think he did
No,
anything different.
no. I don't
Like I
think
said
he did.
earlier, mate, I just don't think tonight was a game for the forward players, was it? It
No,
was
no.
a pure defensive-minded
Defensive
game from
battle, wasn't
both
it?
teams.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
you know, everyone speaks about Burnley and how they defend well, but I felt Leeds defended well tonight as well.
yeah,
You
yeah.
know, you have got to give a lot of credit to the likes of Rodon, Bogle,
And Purdue
Ampadu,
were
and
good as well.
Byron.
Yeah,
Ampadu were very good tonight. I
yeah.
thought I've probably edge it and give him man of the match.
I
I
would.
reckon.
Yeah,
I think Bogle had another good game, to be fair, but I would just give it to Ampadu.
yeah. I agree.
And the main thing I was happy with as well is that Ilya Melier barely had anything to do in the game as well.
He flapped across though, didn't he? Did you see that
He
where it
flapped
came in?
one. It was that free kick, I think,
Yeah,
that
it
Ampadu
was a
gave
free
away.
kick. It was a free kick from Ampadu, wasn't it? With that really good challenge. But yeah, he came football and then he kind of scuttled back. But yeah, as soon
If
as I saw him
Bogle had
flash,
defended that were a goal because his
yeah,
positioning were just way off.
yeah. He left that back post totally open, didn't he? But yeah, another clean sheet for him. Put some respect on his name, Charlie. How many clean sheets is that? It's not to do with defence. It's all down to him being a brilliant goalkeeper, mate.
The Iceman at it again. But
Fucking Iceman.
you know, in fairness, James Trafford didn't really have all to do either. To be fair, I think he made that one save from Dan James, which it was right at him, to be honest, wasn't it? I think
commentators got a bit excited about it, didn't they? Until the short replay, they're like,
"Oh yeah, it's just straight at him." Yeah, okay.
They're like, because there'd been this emphasis on their defense all throughout the game. They were just overplaying any sort of tackle and stuff, and then they're like, "Oh, brilliant save! He's kept his clean sheet." And then they were like, "Oh yeah, it was straight at him actually."
Let's be honest. If that were Melier, there's a high probability that goes in.
Oh yeah, it freaking goes through his wrist. Did
you notice the save that he made? Even though it did get
good
up for a foul, the save
Anthony.
from Jadon Anthony. Yeah.
You've got to give him credit for that. That work.
He did well to keep alert there because it again. I felt for both teams the ref was quite soft. There was some that even they did on us where I was thinking, that's not a free kick, but I mean in terms of the overall shape of the league, at the minute, obviously we've gained a point on Sheffield United now. We've got 2 points on them. Obviously, it's as you were in terms of us and Burnley. Obviously, still 3 points clear. It did show you the next few games for both teams. Our run did look quite harder than what Burnley have got, which is why I think they'll be happier with the point. They'll be happier with the point, I think. Now
we've got Sheffield United away, aren't we, coming up, and
Sunderland at home back to back.
And Sunderland at home. Although I think the next game for us, Cardiff, is it at home? That's very much winnable. But then I think after that, is it Watford? Is it Watford?
No, we've got Coventry away, aren't we? Next week it got rearranged.
Coventry, that was it. So they're
on a bit of a run at the minute under old Lampard, aren't they?
Yeah,
4 games in a row.
Frank sorted them out a little bit, Annie. But yeah, it's a tough running for us, and I think we've had a good run of results over the last 3 games. So you'd have took 7 points.
I think we've got Sheffield United, Sunderland, and West Brom all back to back, which that is hard. But again, it's what you're in this.
It's this
league this race for.
It's in this league for you as well. There's no easy games in this league, especially away from home for us. Anyone can give us a game away from home. So they're the ones that stick out to me. The away games where I think, I'm not too sure, because we could go to Coventry and not turn up like we did at Blackburn, like we did at Preston. It could be one of them games. Millwall. It could be one of them games for us, but hopefully not. Hopefully we
think
a little bit now.
I think the next few games that we've got are quite favourable. Obviously Cardiff, Coventry, and then I think it is the Watford one. But then you get into the territory of you've got Sheffield United away, Sunderland at home, and West Brom at home. Again, the home games I always favour us to win.
I always feel confident in them home games.
I'm not being funny. If Hull City can go to Bramall Lane and put 3 past Sheffield United, then we definitely can. And this could come back to bite me on the arse, but I don't think Sheffield United are as good as the league suggests. Like, they are a good side at this level, but
that's what I was just about to say.
They're definitely beatable.
You look at their form. Their recent form's been very patchy, hasn't it? And they've not been great at home either. And then you've got Wilder crying about, he's been crying about injuries, hasn't he, and playing 19-year-olds, but he's just, spunked fucking how much on Tom Cannon and Diaz as well.
We were non-existent against Hull.
Yeah,
non-existent.
Yeah. That's the thing in it as well. I think when you look at, obviously we're crying out for signings, and you're looking at teams that buy 2, 3, 4 players, but there's also that risk as well of unbalancing your starting 11, and I think that's what happened with Sheffield United against Hull. Obviously, they started a few new players, and they just looked a bit out of sorts. So I think when Leeds fans are, we need this and that many players, I think there's that to bear in mind, isn't there, as well, that you don't want to unbalance things in the squad. But we do need one player at least, I think, which is a number 10.
Yeah, I agree. But I mean, if we don't sign anybody, I'm not going to be too annoyed and angry about it, because
tell that to him on Twitter, Charlie. Tell that to him on Twitter, mate. It'll be a frenzy, mate, if we don't get anyone in the next few days.
Don't get me wrong, I do think we need a 10. But if we didn't get one, I mean, people are forgetting we are top of the league. This squad has got us to this point. I get there's a lot of football left to be played, but it's not. I don't think it's the end of the world like it's been in previous seasons when we've not signed anyone in January. But yeah, look, like you say, if we beat Cardiff on Saturday, then it all looks a little bit better again, doesn't it? And we just need to hopefully continue this unbeaten run. I'm sure there will be a blip along the way.
As is with Leeds United, mate. As is.
Yeah.
Never make it easy.
Sheffield United had a blip on Friday. Obviously, Sunderland did. You could argue us and Burnley have both had a blip maybe tonight. I don't see it like that, but other people might. I would argue that us and Burnley are probably the best 2 teams out of the 4 anyway at the minute. And I think that was quite evident tonight. Fair play to them for their game plan. They executed it well, but I also think we did as well. And it was just a must not lose game, wasn't it? And as soon as the full-time whistle went, I was happy. I thought, right, take that and move on now.
There were a tiny little bit of me when I saw, because I don't think Burnley played that great. There were a tiny little bit of me that thought, should Farker have been a little bit braver with playing Rothwell and Firpo? There were a tiny little bit of me, but that with me. But
I agree.
But and I think we discussed this, didn't we, on his last pod? I think about bringing Gruev in because there were murmurs and that, and you thought he were going to come in, which he did.
But I had a feeling.
Hindsight's a brilliant thing in it, and you can't be too dismayed about what's happened tonight. But there's just a tiny little bit in back in my mind thinking we could have been a little bit braver tonight.
Because it's mad as well, because I actually think against Cardiff he'll bring Rothwell back in and he'll bring Firpo in.
100%.
But again, you could argue it's paid off. Like you say, is it a glass half full or is it half empty?
Yeah.
But just to quickly summarise, mate, I am more than happy with that. It, like I said at the beginning, it panned out exactly how I expected it to, given the run that Burnley were on and the run that obviously Leeds are on as well. But any final thoughts, mate, before?
No. Just similar to you, really. I think we both agreed, didn't we, that we didn't think we were going to lose this game, and we both agreed that a draw wouldn't be the worst thing in the world as well. So we'll take that into the next game. I think Cardiff, very, very winnable game, and obviously we've not dropped any points. Well, we've not lost, have we, today? So we can build on that and keep on marching on, mate.
Yeah, hopefully a Saturday brings 3 points and then we can kick on from there. But obviously we will get a Cardiff preview out towards the back end of the week. we'll hopefully be marching on Meltdowns episode before that as well.
I've missed them, haven't you, mate? It's kind of
I have
it's how
all the
the
games been all over the place.
that's it. It's been the
joint.
fixtures. It's been the fixtures, and it then has allowed us to
Yeah.
get one in. But there'll be one coming, guys, because we really like doing them, don't we, Charlie?
Yeah, we do, and like I said, guys, we'll hopefully try and get one out before the Cardiff preview at the end of the week. But like I say, big thank you to everyone that tunes in to watch this, and you know, if you're watching on YouTube, please make sure you're liking, commenting, and subscribing. And if you are listening on Spotify or Apple, please follow us on those platforms as well. And we will see you in the next one. Cheers.
Cheers, everyone.